His Excellency Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator in Nigeria, His Excellency Mohammed Malik Fall, the Director, United Nations Information Center, UNYA-NIGEria, Dr. Ronald Kayanja, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, the distinguished speakers, the directors, state coordinators, and members of the United Nations Youth Association Nigeria, the non-registered members of the United Nations Youth Association Nigeria, here present, a delegation of the International College for Diplomatic Affairs, ICD, in Lagos State, Nigeria, gentlemen of the press. Today, we are assembled in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Federal Republic of Nigeria, for the United Nations International Peace Day Summit 2025 to commemorate the United Nations Day of Peace. Theme: Advancing Peace through the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. The United Nations Day of Peace was established in 1981 by the UN General Assembly. 2 decades later, in 2001, the General Assembly unanimously voted to designate the day as a period of non-violence and ceasefire. The International Day of Peace commemorates the founding ideals of the United Nations to promote peace, end conflict, and foster global cooperation. Each year, on this day, individuals and nations are reminded of the importance of building a world free from violence and inequality. The 2025 focus centers on the Sustainable Development Goals and their direct link to global peace. Through this theme, the day highlights how addressing poverty, inequality, environmental threats, and injustice creates a stronger foundation for peace everywhere. The United Nations International Peace Day Summit 2025 Abuja, Nigeria goes beyond symbolism. It's a global and national call to action. How the Sustainable Development Goals support peace. No poverty and zero hunger, goals 1 and 2. Eliminating poverty and hunger addresses the root causes of many conflicts. Stable access to food implores Nigerians, especially the youth, to act by advocating for fairer policies and laws, standing up for human rights, and supporting climate action and sustainable development goals. SDGs actualization by 2030. In summary, peace requires more than the absence of war. It depends on justice, equality, and access to economic opportunity for everyone. The United Nations International Peace Day Summit 2025 Abuja, Nigeria is a chance to recommit to those values locally and globally. Happy United Nations International Peace Day Summit 2025. Yours in peace building and humanitarian services, His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Eze Ihechukwumerezika, President, Head of Mission, United Nations Youth Association Nigeria. Thank you.
Speech prepared by Ambassador Dr. Adeola Dorcas Folorunsho, MHA, MPH, CHE Canada, FRSPH UK, UN Peace Ambassador and founder, Matamental, USA. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, friends and colleagues, I want to ask you to travel with me for a moment. Leave this hall, leave this city, and come with me to my home, Lagos State, Nigeria. I want you to imagine a city of over 20 million people, a powerhouse of energy, sound and motion. A city where the air itself seems to hum with ambition. Picture its famous bridges, massive structures of concrete and steel stretching across the water. Every single day, millions of people, merchants, students, dreamers, spend hours on these bridges, part of a relentless, powerful human current. From the outside, it might look like chaos, but if you look closer, you see the truth. It is the symbol of our unyielding human drive to connect, to move forward, to get from where we are to where we knew we needed to be. I bring you this image from my home today because it is a microcosm of our world. We are all on a bridge, trying to get somewhere better. And I believe the most important journey we can take together is the journey towards lasting peace. Today, I want to talk about how we can build the bridges for that journey. Bridge is not of concrete, but of opportunity. Not of steel, but of justice. And our shared blueprint for this monumental task is the Sustainable Development Goals. Here, in these distinguished halls, we spend our lives dedicated to the pursuit of peace. But for too long, we have defined peace in its most fragile form, the simple absence of war, the silence of guns. But I ask you, is a nation truly at peace if its farmers can no longer grow crops because of a changing climate? Is a society at peace if its young people, armed with degrees but faced with no jobs, see only their hope in a perilous journey across a border? Is our world at peace if half its population, our women and girls, are denied their fundamental rights? The answer is no. That is a hollow peace, a negative peace. It is the silence of injustice, simmering just beneath the surface, waiting to boil over into the very conflict we work so hard to prevent. The real lasting peace we all seek is something more. It is a positive peace. It is dynamic. It is resilient. It is the presence of justice, the presence of equality, the presence of opportunity. It's the kind of peace every single person on this planet can achieve their full potential with dignity. This is the promise of the 2030 Agenda. The 17 Sustainable Development Goals are more than a checklist of development targets. They are the most comprehensive peace-building framework our world has ever known. They recognize a fundamental truth. We cannot build a house of peace on the foundation of human suffering. Development, justice, and peace are inextricably linked. So how do we use these goals as our building materials? Allow me to share some perspective from my corner of the world. Consider SDG 1, no poverty. Poverty is the most formidable barrier to peace. It is a brutal architect of despair. In Nigeria, we see how poverty can create a fertile ground for grievance and instability. But this story is not unique to us. It is the story of the favelas in Rio, the slums in Mumbai, and the forgotten rural communities in every nation represented in this room. When we work to eradicate poverty, we are not just performing an act of charity. We are engaging in an act of global security. We are dismantling the recruitment grounds for extremism and building a bridge to a future where every person has a stake in a stable, peaceful world. Think of the bridge of knowledge, SDG 4, quality education. In my country, we have a term, Japa, which means to flee. It describes the wave of our brightest young doctors, engineers, and tech innovators living for opportunities abroad. This is our version of the global brain drain that affects so many of your nations, robbing the global south of its greatest assets. Quality education is the bridge that can turn this tide. It's how we empower the next generation not just to find jobs, but to create them. It's how we cultivate critical thinking and empathy, the essential antidotes, the ignorance and disinformation that fuels so much conflict. And what about the bridge of equality? SDG 5, gender equality. A world that sidelines half of its talent is a world operating at half its potentials. The evidence is overwhelming. When women are included in peace negotiations, the agreements are 35% more likely to last at least 15 years. When women are economically empowered, entire communities flourish. This is not just a niche issue. It is central to the mission. Building a bridge for women to work across as equal partners in peace and development is to build a bridge to a more just and resilient future for all humankind. Finally, there is the master bridge that holds the entire structure together. SDG 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. In Nigeria, like many nations, citizens are demanding more from their leaders. They are demanding transparency, the rule of law, and an end to corruption. This is not a uniquely Nigerian story. It is the universal human cry for dignity and fairness. Without accountable institutions, there is a trust deficit that erodes the very fabric of society. SDG 16 is our shared commitment to building that trust both within and between nations. Excellencies, it is easy to become overwhelmed by the scale of these goals. It is easy to see the 2030 deadline looming and feel discouraged. But the power of the SDGs lies in our collective responsibility. The most magnificent bridge is not built by one nation, but by all of us working in partnership. You in this room are the chief engineers and architects of this peaceful future. Every time you champion a policy that puts the furthest behind first, you are laying a brick. Every time you forge a partnership that transcends borders and politics, you are tightening the walls. Every time you choose diplomacy over threats and cooperation over competition, you are raising a pillar. Every time you defend the international laws and norms that protect the vulnerable, you are paving the way to the road to peace. So I ask all of us, what kind of world do we want to build? Will we be a generation remembered for constructing new worlds of nationalism and fear? Or will we be the architects of true legacy? The builders of bridges that our children and our children's children will walk across into a future of peace and dignity? Let us leave this chamber today with a renewed sense of purpose. Let us commit with everything we have to build a world of bridge builders. Let's build bridges of opportunity that span the global wealth gap. Let's build bridges of justice that ensures international laws apply to all, not just some. And let's build bridges of dialogue and empathy, for that is the only way forward. The challenges are immense, but our capacity for innovation, for compassion, and for cooperation is greater. Let our work here be bold, resilient, and enduring, a testament to our shared belief that a more peaceful and just world is not just a distant dream, but a destination we can and must build together. That conversation is the first stone laid for the global bridge we will all build tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Ambassador Adekri Karim Desmond, United Nations Youth Association Foreign Envoy to the United Kingdom and Europe. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, youth leaders, ladies and gentlemen, it is with profound honor and humility that I stand before you today in this historic gathering, United Nations International Peace Day Summit 2025, National Mary's House, Maitama, Abuja, Nigeria, hosted by the United Nations Youth Association, Nigeria. Today, across continents and communities, the world poses a mark, the International Day of Peace. Yet, let us be clear, this day is not simply a commemoration of peace, it is a living commitment. A commitment to uphold peace as a daily practice, a responsibility to confront the causes of conflict, and an obligation to nurture justice, dignity, and sustainable progress for all. As United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has reminded us, there is no sustainable development without peace, and no peace without sustainable development. This truth lies at the heart of our theme today, advancing peace through the Sustainable Development Goals. Peace as the foundation of the SDGs. Peace is not an isolated goal, it is the golden thread that runs through the entire fabric of the SDGs. When a child goes to school rather than to war, that is peace. When a community shares safe drinking water instead of competing for scarce resources, that is peace. When women and men have equal opportunities to strive, that is peace. The SDGs remind us that development without justice breeds inequality, and peace without inclusion breeds fragility. Allow me to reflect briefly on SDG 4 dimensions. First, no poverty and zero hunger. Poverty and hunger are not just deprivations, they are destabilizers. When livelihoods are secured, when families are nourished, cooperation replaces competition, and dialogue triumphs over despair. Second, health, education, and gender equality. Healthy, educated, and empowered societies are more peaceful societies. Education instills tolerance. Healthcare safeguards dignity, and gender equality strengthens justice. As Ellen Johnson Sirleaf once said, if your dreams do not include women, they are too small. Third, clean water, affordable energy, and economic growth. Access to resources has often been the trigger of conflict, but those same resources can also become tools of cooperation. Safe water, renewable energy, and decent work for young people. These do not only fuel economics, they also prevent tensions and great shared progress. Fourth, justice, institution, and global partnership. At the heart of lasting peace are strong, fair, and inclusive institutions. Without justice, grievance fester. Without accountability, corruption strives. Without inclusion, voices are silenced. As Nelson Mandela put it, peace is not just the absence of conflict, it is. Young people are not just the leaders of tomorrow. You should never doubt your capacity to triumph where others have not. The participation of youth in peace building is not optional, it is essential. Why? Because you are most affected by conflict and inequality. Because youth bring innovation, energy, and digital skills. And because peace built without youth is peace without a future. A call to action. So today, I say to the young people in this hall and across Nigeria, see yourself as agent of peace, organize community dialogues, use your digital skills to counter misinformation, volunteer for health, education, and climate action. Demand accountability, speak truth to power. Every small action adds up. Every voice matters. Every contribution counts. Conclusion, On this International Day of Peace, let us renew our promise. Let us make the SDGs not just a list of goals, but a live reality in our community. Let us commit to building a Nigeria, Africa, and a world where peace is more than the absence of war. It is the presence of justice, equality, and opportunity for all. As Mandela said, courageous people do not fear forgiving. For the sake of peace, let us have the courage to forgive, the vision to build, and determination to act together through the SDGs, and through the leadership of our youth. We can advance peace not just for today, but for generations to come. Thank you, and may peace continue to build our steps.